Welcome to Brand Lover, honest, real and lively conversations for flourishing entrepreneurs and budding business owners on a mission to cultivate a heartfelt brand that connects with their purpose-driven mission. My hope is that you walk away feeling inspired and refreshed with a weekly takeaway in your back pocket that you can apply to your life or business. Welcome to another week of Brand Lover. I am super excited to welcome a very special guest this week. She is a friend and a client, and I will let her explain all of her incredible goodness. But Nelly Mitchell is a chiropractor with a bricks and mortar business that offers much more than just chiropractic, and I will let her explain all that. But she has recently ventured into the online world as a women's wellbeing coach, and so I'm really looking forward to exploring her journey. But first of all, welcome, Nelly.
Oh, thank you for having me, Miss Rachel. So exciting.
Oh, I know. Just to fill everyone in, I think this is take 5. We keep missing each other. So we are extra excited to be here together today because it's been a long time coming and something that we've been absolutely determined to get done. So
we have.
I'm so grateful. So let's start with you. Tell us Nelly's story and tell us about your beautiful brands, because you are still running. You're basically running 2 businesses alongside each other. So share a little bit about that.
Okay, so I'm Nelly. Where do I even start? I am a chiropractor. I absolutely love what I do, and I've always been really inquisitive as to why we are the way we are, how things work, and how we can allow them to work with more ease, more function, more availability. So that's where we kind of start. And I became a chiropractor after I started another course in occupational therapy, and I felt like it was just not where I needed to be. And I loved it, I absolutely loved it, but I wasn't getting the feels, I suppose. And I was like, okay. And I applied I absolutely loved anatomy, and my mum was a little freaked out because she was like, all you talk about every week is coming home after you've been hanging out with the cadavers and like sorting out what parts are what in anatomy. I'm like, yeah, it's so interesting. So anyway, I switched to chiropractic, and it's a 5-year, it's a Bachelor of Science, and I did a Master's of Clinical Chiropractic down in Melbourne. And I have then since studied all the things. I've done postgrad work in pediatric neurology and women's health and pregnancy. I love learning. And I was at an amazing practice. I live in Echuca. So Echuca Malama, it's the border of Victoria and New South Wales. It's on the river, and it's a stunning place to live. And I came up here again following a gut instinct to meet with my former boss, and on a Sunday afternoon, and I ended up here.
Wow.
And I've absolutely loved it. I then met my husband, my now husband. So I've stayed here, and I absolutely love the community and love serving them. And I'm really fortunate to work with the people that I work with, and I just kept following gut instincts, I suppose, right? Just like I had an opportunity with business, and I just it wasn't going in the direction that I wanted it to go in for me going forward with what I wanted to create. And I remember having a conversation with my then roommate Casey. She's divine, and she till this day goes, I still remember that conversation in the living room where you told me your dream and what you wanted to create.
And how beautiful.
Oh, she's amazing. And I love her reminding me of that, because I was probably 2nd year out, like I was still fairly new at what I was doing. I just want to create a space where people can be themselves and feel safe and have this community and get whatever they need for their health. And so I created Well Soul Studio.
So that's how Well Soul was born. your bricks and mortar. So were you working before that? You were, I mean,
yes. So I was working at another.
You were employed.
Yes, I was working at another chiropractic clinic in town, and I was lucky enough to work there for 6.5 years. And I had an opportunity there, but it wasn't, as I said, it wasn't going down the path that I kept getting tugged towards. And it was honestly one of the hardest decisions I've ever made. I was absolutely, can I swear on this? Am I allowed?
Probably not.
No,
I'm pretty sure I ticked the box that says no explicit content. So let's not.
Absolutely scared. Scared. It was the biggest decision. And to leave there, which was such a beautiful place, and that was a huge safety net, but I just kept getting tugged in a different direction. So
how did you overcome that fear, or did you just do it anyway?
I did it anyway, and without my mum and my husband, I probably wouldn't have got there at certain times. I have fantastic support, but they were the ones who were like, you can do this, whenever I thought I couldn't. Whenever I had a moment, whenever I
Would you say that this vision that you had, would you say that was bigger than your fear? Is that the thing that pulled you along?
Absolutely.
Having that really clear,
and that possibility.
Like,
what if it could happen?
The positive really, what if, rather than I think focusing on, because we have a choice, don't we? We can focus on the negative what ifs, or we can focus on the positive what ifs. Because I don't know about you, but in my experience, it's usually the positive what ifs that end up being fulfilled anyway.
Absolutely.
Usually.
Absolutely.
In the end,
there's always,
you know what I mean? In the end.
Well, if it's not okay, it's not the end.
That's it. Well, that's it. I love that. If it's not okay, if it's not going your way, it's not the end.
Yeah, I would have to agree in that. And I think it's like 98%, it's probably higher, but 98% of the negative what ifs that we have never come true.
Amazing.
Like those, our brains are so clever. Yeah. But they can override things. So I like to kind of have a balance between my brain and my gut. My heart's in there somewhere too. So
okay. So we're getting deeper now. But so you say, I mean, you've been saying people, you want to serve people, but who is your ideal client for Well Soul?
So my ideal client, and I've played, as you know, working with you, I've played with this for so long, and it ultimately comes back to women, and them being that kind of center stone of families and decision makings and health, predominantly, not always, but predominantly for the family as a whole. And whether they're mothers as such, or women who are intending to become mothers, or to birth a creative idea, because I work with a lot of women who do that as well. It comes back to them and looking after them, empowering them, and allowing them to live a life that they want to live, not a life that they feel they should be doing or good at. So predominantly that's our beautiful client base at Well Soul Studio. We have the most phenomenal community, and I'm so grateful for them. I
see your Instagram, and I love when you share images of the actual space, because it's just got such a peace about it. Like, and even though you're not physically there, I just look at it and go, oh, I wish I could go hang out there. It looks so nice.
Yes.
And I love how even you as the business owner, you sort of, that's even just being there is your grounding. Like, you're like, I'm so excited to be here. And it's so
honestly
beautiful.
My favorite, like, it's my place. I love going there. I used to be there all the time, right? It was like I'd be there from dawn till dusk and long time after that. But I love walking in that door and going, and that's what I wanted to create for other people, is that exhale of I'm here.
Yeah. So just to give us a little bit more of an understanding of, so you started Wellsoul as a chiropractic clinic.
Yes.
Tell us about what you, like, how long did it take and how did you expand into other areas, what the other areas are, and about your team. I'd love to hear more about that.
Absolutely. So I started it off with, I wanted chiropractic, a yoga studio, and float tanks. That was my three things that I wanted. They were the pillars that I worked around. Getting the space was the hardest thing. Where we are, if I could give anyone a recommendation on a bricks and mortar place, is figure out what is zoned for what. Go straight to council and ask them for a zoning map, because it's something that kind of comes up later and you're like, well, I can't even do what I want to do here. Specifically with health. So that was something that took approximately 6 months. I left my other position and didn't know what I was doing. I had an idea of what I wanted, but I honestly had no idea how to make that come to life. So and I wasn't in the best space, like headspace and stuff, when I left that, because leaving there meant that I finalized a lot of dreams that I had going forward with that. So I kind of had this little, but I didn't have an idea. So I didn't have a plan, I suppose. Anyway, so it started off with chiropractic. I needed someone to help me out with reception and booking and that kind of thing, but I did a lot of time on the desk to start off with too, when I wasn't being a chiropractor. I am a yoga teacher as well, and I see so much value in yoga and creating space for ourselves. That was my ideas behind that. And float tanks are just the best nap you've ever had, if nothing else. They're full of magnesium. So honestly, one of the biggest things that I recommend, especially for women, especially postpartum, is magnesium, because we use it in every cellular activity that we do. And we don't have enough. We can't get enough from our diet and our nutrition, the way things are at the moment. So magnesium, there's 500 kilos of magnesium in each tank. We have 2, and it's like floating in the Dead Sea. It's just so special. Amazing. So special. So that's how we started, and then we've evolved with, we've got another office space we rent out for anyone really that wants to join our vibe, our community. And we have a massage room. We've also since invested in 5 reformers for reformer Pilates, and we have mat Pilates as well.
So you really do strive to encompass the holistic view.
Absolutely, because health is holistic. It's not, there's not one size fits all for anyone, and we still can only service, a certain amount of the community. So we're still striving to serve our people, but also others. So it's been such an amazing, I think I've had to think about it, obviously coming in here talking to you, and I just love it. It's not been always easy at all, and I have learned so much. But it has been worth it. So
isn't it so beautiful to reflect on how far you've come? I think, I don't know about you, tell me if you relate. Sometimes I get so caught up in the future and the vision, which is super important, obviously, to keep us going and striving and pulling us forward. But it's so important to have those reflection times and think how far I've come. And you, my dear, you are just amazing, because I would love to now talk about the expansion to your online brand. And you touched on that a little bit then, you can only serve a certain amount of people. There's always going to be capped, even if you scaled with, a number of service providers in your studio, you're still always going to be, there's going to be a cap. So Tell me about when you started getting the inkling to start your personal brand, Nelly Mitchell.
Yeah.
This is where the women's wellbeing coaching comes in.
So honestly, Rach, even like being a chiropractor, and I'm so grateful to serve people and hear their stories and hold space for their emotions, their feelings, and their health. I've always been told, you're not a normal chiropractor, are you? Like, I'm not sure how to take that.
No, I'm not normal.
No, but I am quite in touch with emotional aspects of health as well. You know that I love my oils and my potions and my it's just another aspect, and it's another way to support our health in like whether it's supplements or oils or whether it's time. So many ways to support your health, but I've always loved holding that space, and I've even before. So I've got a nearly 2-year-old, and probably a year into Well Soul, I'm like, there's got to be a better way. I can only be here for so much time. I can only see so many people in those blocks of time, and I can only emotionally, physically hold space for a certain amount of time. The amazingness of online support is that it can be at different times. It doesn't have to be 9 to 5 and whatever else. It can be creative in that aspect. It can be one-on-one. It can be group work, and it can be a community online, which is magical. So I was thinking about well before Maverick was born, but when I got pregnant with him, I was like, as you know, your energy wanes, goes up and down, and I'm going, again, there's got to be a better way. And so I did do some supportive stuff for other people with online when I was pregnant.
Okay.
So it was really, but it was really after having Mav, which he was 12 weeks when we went into our first lockdown last year. So my first foray into online business was creating a mother's group. So, because I couldn't attend mother's group, and I knew how important that was for so many, and I'm like, I'm not the only one that can't attend. So we ran an online mother's group, and it was just so wonderful to be able to interact and be online with other mothers at a time where we couldn't be in person. So that was my
created
catalyst.
It out of necessity to fill a need for yourself.
Yeah.
Even though you had sort of been thinking about it anyway. So you had So
I had a bit of a shove.
I find that interesting because it's always seems to be there's always a catalyst that causes a shift.
Absolutely.
You can have as many dreams and ideas as you like, but there's always something that gives you that little kick, like that little nudge, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I find that, I'm sure, tell me if you relate, but you find that you've got this idea, and then all of a sudden something happens, you're like, oh, okay. Okay.
Yes.
Thanks, universe. I'll sort that out now.
Yeah. It's like, fine, have it your way. Off we go. Okay, let's do it.
Exactly. So yes. So that was my foray into online Nelly Mitchell as that kick-started my online space.
And when did you realize that you wanted to make it a brand, like a true personal brand? Because we worked together, obviously.
I know, thank goodness. Oh my gosh, thank goodness for Rach.
I'm interested to know, as I'm sure the audience is, when if it started the way that it started, when was it like, okay, we're investing in this is happening?
I'm going to be honest, I didn't really want to go into the online space because I'm not a technical person. I've always resisted. I used to walk into a room.
Very relatable.
I used to walk into a room, try to turn on the computer, and it wouldn't turn on. Like, women that I used to work with laugh at me now because they're like, how are you running an online? Seriously now? Like, I'm like, I know. But I have learned a lot. Setting up WellSoul, honestly, again, happened for in the right time, the right space, because I had to learn all about systems and online stuff and creating and linking things. And I'm still not the best at it, but I do have an overview and I can do the basics. So I still was probably pretty resistant, Rach, going into an online business and creating a and I think my doTERRA business, Soul Essentials, was the thing. I was like, I can use this stuff. I can create things on Canva. They're not the best, they're not the like most amazing, but I can make them consistent. I can put them out there and trust that the people who need me will find me.
Yes.
In that aspect. And that was another little stepping stone. So it was kind of like, okay, we do the thing and then we do another thing and then we create another thing. And then I kind of ended up here and I don't really know how. So
that's the beauty of putting one foot in front of the other, isn't it?
Really
that's the beauty of not stressing too much about what's going to happen at step 5, but just consciously.
I think when we create those plans, if we become so attached to them, it could show up in a much better way in a different how. But if we're so attached to the how, then we really limit ourselves a lot. So learnings, just all learning with one step in front of the other,
isn't it?
Absolutely.
Being open to the lessons and not being so stuck
stringent
in a certain way. That's good. I like that.
So
good.
It's exciting. It's exciting.
It is, isn't it? It's so exciting to, I mean, I always think it comes, like, we keep talking about the vision. I feel like this is a theme throughout this conversation, but like having that vision, but not knowing exactly how you're going to get there. Isn't it?
Because absolutely, like having the vision and holding the space for this, knowing that it may be completely different, but if you've got that space and hold for that, how you get there doesn't really matter. And again, you might not get here, you might get up here. Like I think vision is so important. And I talk about I'm very feeling orientated, but in terms of like your gut feelings, I one of the things that I talk about so much with women is, well, what's your gut telling you? And I don't know. And I'm like, well, sit with it, ask it. And then they'll go, oh, well, it's saying this, but that doesn't make sense. I'm like, one of my favorite comments is, has it ever steered you wrong? And then they go, oh, like a lot of the time my staff and my people don't really love me a whole lot. Like they love me, but they may not want to. So, and without knowing it, like I used to get a bit offended. I was like, oh, I didn't want to challenge you like that. It's just, but sometimes people walk in, don't be nice to me, don't talk to me, don't look at me, I'm good. I'm like, okay. And then they'll circle back and come back later and I'm like, how you doing? And then think like, and patients like, they're like, I wasn't going to cry today. I wasn't going to do this. I'm like, it's okay. That's what this space is for. And I think it's just that it comes back to that vision and tuning in. And when we're not living in our alignment, when we're not living how we want to be living, stuff comes up. And it comes up to a point where you can't ignore it, whether it's with pain or whether it's with situations or whether it's with the same things happening with different groups of people or in a friendship group or family. And you realize that it's got to be you that does the things. And it's hard work. It's hard work to maintain that vision when you're getting tapped a different way. So creating that space, whether it's bricks and mortar or online, is super close to my heart. Where people can be empowered to find their space and their so
Oh, I've got got a bit of a tingle thing happening over here.
Love the tingles. It's always a good sign.
So, okay. So tell us about future plans for Nelly Mitchell now that we're talking about visions. What have you got up your sleeve?
Well, I've got visions. I do have, and they're scary. So I'm so excited going forward. I'm looking at this wall behind you here, Rach, that I've got Post-it notes all over my wall, and Rachel knows this, but and there's so many things up there that I've like ideas or drop-ins that have happened for me, and I'm like, I wonder how that's going to play out. But I love giving them a space. So half of them won't, they'll morph into something else or create something else. But I'm going big next year, Rach, for me, in the online space. So Well Soul Studio will keep happening, and it'll keep doing its thing, and it's expanding too, which is amazing. But I want to create that so that it can run with and without me. Yeah. And Nelly Mitchell is I don't know. No, it's morphing. It's going to become a lot. I've got a few programs in line. I've done Mama Thriving, which Rachel helped me out with so much. I'm not sure how much she knows.
I don't
about that.
I'm surprised to hear that.
So I worked with Rachel at the start of this year, April, I think we started
around maybe. Then, yeah.
And when I committed to working with Rachel, I was like, I cannot wait for this to happen, because I just knew that there was something in that I needed to go forward, and I couldn't explain it at the time. I was so excited though, and Rachel has a way of pulling out what you actually want. And so in terms of visions and making them come to life, Rachel is your person. Oh my gosh. So in terms of pulling out Mama Thriving and how it looked, but also helping me map out my online space, you were crucial. You were another catalyst, my dear. And it just made me go, okay, this can be a thing. This can actually happen.
Yeah.
And because I'm not huge in like design stuff and having things look beautiful, and that's just another like lift for me that goes, that's who I am, and that's what I want to create, is that empowered woman who can come back to herself anytime and know exactly how she wants to live and what she wants to do with her life, whether it's through Mama Thriving or I'm launching Bloom at the end of this month.
Ooh,
Bloom.
I like it.
Me too. And that
feels good.
Yeah, it feels really good. And you know, if anyone looks at my brand, I've got some amazing flowers that Rachel created, and they all mean something special to me, which I love on another level as well. But Bloom, no flower compares to another flower when it blooms, and I feel women need that reminder the same. So in a comparison epidemic, I'm going to say, in terms of online things, but also absolutely. Like it's about coming back to who you are, and it's not coming back, it's blooming forward to who you want to be.
Blooming forward. Oh
yeah, so I'm excited. And it's for my beautiful women who are like, I'm not a mum yet, but I want to do the things, and I want to work with you, and I want to create, and I want to realign my life so that I am aligned and I am living how I want to before becoming a mum, or before setting off on that creative, because we lose ourselves. It happens. We spoke about it earlier. We get in and we're in the trenches and we're doing the things and the day-to-day, but self-love is such a huge part of loving on who we are to allow who we're going to be. That Bloom is coming. So that's my next. I'm very
excited for you. So if you're listening, go and check out. It's on Instagram. Is it Nelly Mitchell _?
Just Nelly Mitchell _.
Nelly Mitchell. Yes. Oh, and _
Nelly Mitchell _. Yeah, it is _.
I remembered. I'm impressed.
You are amazing.
Myself. So Nelly, I just have one more question for you. And this is coming from someone who has absolutely no clue at all about bricks and mortar. It's something that I've never done or explored or had any inclination to do.
Absolutely.
And I think anybody who does go down that path is like incredible, because there's so many moving parts, and to have like an actual physical space as a responsibility to me blows my mind. But what tips would you have for somebody who's in your position where they maybe have already established a store, a bricks and mortar something, and they're thinking of evolving to an online brand? What would be a pearl of wisdom that you would be happy to share?
Just do it.
Oh,
But also, if you have a brilliant team, it makes it 10 times easier. And you don't have to have a big team, just a brilliant team, and support, because
team, can we sort of expand, what type of team are we talking about here? Like
whoever you're working with in your bricks and mortar, I view them as my team, whether they're whether it's another chiropractor, or whether it's a manager, or we call them chiropractic assistants, but reception, admin, or whether they're instructors. There's always, when you're managing people, there's always things like life happens. So if you've got a great team, communication is easier, and procedures and like systems, the smoother they run, the better the communication, the easier it is for you to create in your other space. And I'm still juggling with that. I'm still getting there, because, and that might be my limits on me too, because I'm still needed over here. I might be but it is having a great team and amazing communication systems and procedures, you're going to win every time.
So that it's easy for you to remove yourself to work on what you're passionate about.
Work on your online space, and having time to actually do that is crucial. And I'm a stickler for, I'm going to do this for this amount of time, I'm going to do this for this. I like things to look. That's not how life is, and especially when you have multiple businesses and a partner who's got a business, and you've got a toddler or multiple kids. Like, steal time. Just steal time and work on things whenever you can. That'd be my two pearls.
I love it. Thank you for sharing, and thank you so much
for having me
and sharing your beautiful wisdom with us throughout this chat. I've loved it.
Me too.
And I would love to know where people can find you. Where do you hang out the most? Where would you like to send?
I hang out on Instagram the most at Nelly Mitchell _. I am currently updating my website, so that's nellymitchell.com.
And
the next couple of days, which will already be when this is. It'll be up. It'll be
go
up.
Head to the website.
And that's, that email. I'm getting better at my email list is now. I'm making that a priority. So currently I'm hanging out on Instagram, but my email list is where I'll be hanging out in the future. So I love being able to share and serve on there as well. It's pretty special.
I'm on your email list, and you do it beautifully when you do.
Oh, thank you. When I do.
I love reading. I don't know, Nelly has this beautiful way of just bringing a sense of calm and helping you to really just examine how you are showing up for yourself, and and because that has such a flow-on effect, and I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for this conversation, as I said, and thank you so much for being here.
I'm so grateful for you too. Thank you so much for having me here. It's so exciting. You're doing phenomenally. So cool.
Thank you.
I love it.
All right. Well, I'll catch everyone next week. Thank you. If you loved listening to this week's episode, pretty please click subscribe so that you don't miss any future podcasts. Also, if you have just a minute, please feel free to leave a 5-star review wherever you're listening. I'd so appreciate it, and it will help spread this message further. Thanks for being here. I'll catch you next week.